Hi, welcome to my craft room. Carol Gatton, your Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. And if you have not seen Blendability's My Way video, I recommend that you watch that if you want to see how I colored in our bird. We're going to be making our card now, and this is a square card, a 5 1/4 by 10 1/2. I've scored this in the center, but I haven't folded the cardstock yet. It's easier for it to be totally flat for you to cut out your window frame opening in the front, because that way you can equally position that framelit so that it matches up just the way you want it to. Now this is a piece of real red Coordinations cardstock that I have cut, and it measures 4 3/4 inch square. And I want to make my frame out of this, so let me just give you a little tip on how to do that. I found it to be the easiest if I really paid attention to those 4 V's. I'm putting my fingernail, if one looks a little bit wider than the other, I put my fingernail in there and just move it ever so slightly. And that worked out really great for me. I hope that helps you. And you can do that with any of our framelits. You can make frames. So we'll save that for another project. Okay, so now, didn't that turn out sweet? I really like it. The beauty of the Coordination cardstock is it has a core to it. So we're going to give this a light sanding. You could give it a much harder sanding if you wanted, but because of the card, I want it to be just a slight difference. I've already done 2 of my sides, so I just had 2 more to go. And you could sand that laying down. I was trying to figure out the best way for you to get to see what I'm doing. Next, let's bring in our card, and we want to be sure at this point and take your bone folder and give that a really good crease. I don't know if you're familiar with Sale-a-bration, but this stamp set is from that, A Happy Day. And so we're going to be using this set. This is what the bird was out of, and we're going to be using now the Love Ya from this set. Put in a scrap of paper because you'll be stamping into the middle. With my cherry cobbler, I am going right up to the fold, and I will put a little pressure on that because of that fold. And I'm going to do my 2 sides first, and you're able to get this stamped 4 times, and now 2 in the center. And then you're going to stagger this. So where those little V's are at, you're going to stamp on each side of that, and then your last 2 you're stamping off of your card, and then you'll just repeat that. The beauty of it is right there in the center you get the full effect of that stamp. You get to see it. And then this one is stamping off and stamping into the center, and continue to work on that. With Sale-a-bration, let me tell you a little bit about it, because we have till the end of March for you to take advantage of that. And that's how I got this stamp set, is I purchased $50, and by doing that you get to pick any one item out of our Sale-a-bration catalog. And so if you're not familiar with that, give me an email and let me help you out with that. But this is a beautiful set, but gosh, it's hard to choose. We have so many nice ones. But didn't that stamp up pretty? I really like it. Okay, so next thing we're going to do is we have our frame that we've made with the Coordinations cardstock, and you want to pick the part that you like the best to be your top. And so I've done that, and now I'm adding the multi-purpose adhesive, and go light-handed on this because you do not want any seepage coming out onto your card. Now I am tipping this upward at the bottom as I match this up right at those 2 V's. And can you see how I'm holding it up so the glue doesn't hit down on my cardstock? Now I'm lightly tapping this at the top, and then I still am able to, whoops, sorry about the head. I'm still able to move that because I'm using the multi-purpose glue to get that right in position, right where I want it. Now next comes our little bird, and I think this is so adorable. We're going to make a mask, and this is just a scrap of my grid paper, and I'm stamping that onto there. And I don't know if y'all have ever masked anything off before or not, but you are trimming just inside that black line. And I'm going to go ahead and trim off the beak also, because that's not going to make that much difference when I stamp that. And you will not be stamping below the branch, so I'm trimming that off as well. And that will fit perfectly right into the center of your bird. You don't need to adhere it down. I'm going to be using the Glorious Grunge stamp set, and I'm using the little dots, and this is one I use a lot. I'm taking that tip of my Gold Encore pad and I'm lightly touching down on some of the dots, but not all. Now be very light-handed when you go to stamp this. And you're going to notice my little paper has moved a little bit inside, but there's no ink right there, so don't worry about it. But I was able to get 4 stampings out of that, and doesn't that look lovely? Next, we're going to stamp the verse that is in this set. And I have just a scrap of paper here, and I have it much longer than what I need. I'd rather do it that way and then trim it down. And there we go. There's our verse. Next, I want to trim off about a thumbnail from the verse. You want to trim that off, but because of this Encore ink, you do want to let that sit for just a little bit so that it's totally dry before you begin to work with it. So make sure you do set that aside for a minute. Now I'm trimming into my dot. Now you may be able to just eye that up and not need that pencil mark. I need it. So I always just eyeball it and figure out where I want to cut into, and then I add that. Now I didn't show on here, but I did erase that pencil mark after I completed this. And you cut in from that edge and you have a nice little banner. Pretty simple, eh? All right, now this is my card. Now I'm going to show you how to add this on. I just love this gold sequence trim. It comes in a great big roll and you get a lot of it. When I saw that card in the book, I was confused. How in the world was I going to do this? I just like, oh my goodness. But finally it dawned on me. You remove your sequence from the one end, and then you just cut it to the length you want it on the other end and remove the sequence. That may have been obvious to you. I'm sorry, it wasn't to me. And if it's not obvious to you, I hope it makes sense. And now don't over pull and take too many off. It's best for you to lay it on the one that you've got that you really like the length, and then to remove any extra. Okay, now we're putting it onto our card just to make sure that it's how we want it. And I love these little glue dots. They're small, but man, are they strong. They will hold this on without any problem. It's better to add it to the frame than to onto the sequence and try to find the frame underneath it. I'm doing the one side, pressing it down really firmly. Then I will pull it across and adhere it. Don't try to do both sides at the same time because it may not be straight. And now do you see the little peak up from that? That's where this verse is going to go. So I'm just making sure that it's exactly the way I want it, adding my glue dots to both sides. And one thing I want to draw to your attention is the stitch line on these sequins. That's where you want the cut edge of this verse to be. So line that up and then you will press it down. And I really think that looks nice. I wouldn't mind doing that to a different card. You like it? Let me know if you do, please. I love to receive your comments. Now I'm using several of our dimensionals, and they're not expensive, so feel free to use them. I mean, goodness gracious, they make everything look so nice. They just make it pop. Now I've got the back on there, so this is not sticking at this point. I have not removed my backings from my dimensionals. What I want to do is I want to see exactly how much of an extension I have. I'm making that extension even on both sides and making sure that I like the way my bird looks. And now I am going to pencil that and trim that off. And you may wonder, why are you doing that? It's because I am not going to put anything over this. If I was covering the back of this bird, I wouldn't be doing this. See how on the right side you've got quite a bit of the red and on the left side you don't? So I want to trim that as well. I want this to be nice and even. So I've lined it up with the pencil mark, and then I need to go beyond that about the same distance because I want that red showing equally on all 4 sides. Okay, now find that little mark again, and this one we will trim it right at that mark because that was our side portion. So let's try it in there and make sure that it's working out. So just hold on to that and flip your card upward to double check it, and yep, that looks good. So now I can remove the backings off of my dimensionals, and I think I'm going to add one more dimensional right at the bottom, right there. And when you're adding these dimensionals, be sure you put those near that cut edge. Now to line it up, to go in my card, I'm keeping my hand, because those covers are off of the dimensionals, I'm keeping my hand on the left. I've got it there, and then I can easily begin to press that in. So let's see how I did. Hey, pretty good, eh? I hope this has helped you, and until next time, I thank you so much, and be sure and check out my blog where you'll receive more information and more pictures. Thank you.